Dauntless Stark.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Daunt Talks, where I actually managed to get in contact and sit down with the developer of Unlich. Now, for those who don't know, I sat down on stream and played this demo for about an hour or so. I didn't manage to complete the demo because of some unfortunate bugs that happened, but, I saw fantastic potential into this game, and I honestly could not wait to see more. And the developer reached out very shortly after I played the demo and actually updated the demo to basically fix some of the problems in which I had complained about, mainly like the sticky walls and some bugs that I encountered along the way, which is insanely honored to have that happen, especially with the small size of my channel and everything. But I actually managed to sit down with the gentleman of HAWmaro, the one-man team behind this game, and I managed to have a 30-minute conversation with him, trying to pick his brain about the game, kind of asking some general questions and all that kind of thing. So I really hope you all enjoy, because I love doing these interviews. I'm probably not the greatest at it, but I definitely just want to get better and more, and because my passion is games, and it's the small games that count the most with these kind of battles. So anyway, thank you everybody for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful time. Let's get into it. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dauntless Talks, where I'm here with the wonderful creator of the game, Unlich, HAWmaro. Welcome, man.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh.
I'm HAWmaro. Yes.
Yeah, it is my pleasure. One of the very few things on a bucket list was talking to a game dev, and doing this now I can actually call it a recurring series where I get to talk with game devs is honestly, it's a dream come true. I absolutely love it. And I play some demos that I don't necessarily like, and I play some demos where I really see the potential of and I really like, and then luckily this is definitely the case. I played it on stream, and I absolutely just there was times where I didn't want to talk because I just wanted to play the game.
Thanks a lot. I watched the stream, and sometimes game dev can get hard, but
Oh, absolutely.
watching people have fun with your games, it's like steroids for motivation. So
absolutely.
Just thank you for that. I think.
No worries, no worries. So let's start off with kind of the easiest question. What inspired this game?
So I've always been a fan of Monster Tamer games. I think the first game I ever played was Pokemon Yellow or something. It's one either yellow or blue. And but I always preferred party-based ones. So after starting a full-time job and getting out of university, I wanted to work on a game on the side, just as a fun side project. And I knew that I wanted to make a Monster Tamer game that is, party-based, not you switch monsters, your entire party at the center. So that was the basic concept. Okay. And then I started taking ideas from few other games. One of my favorite games on the SNES was called Ogre Battle. And it's this weird automated auto battler, but on a mixed with an RTS, and it had that concept of lanes and positioning. So I took that and made a grid. And then I looked at Final Fantasy X and the turn order, and I put that instead of strict turns, and until I found something that's my own mix of things. Yeah. So just taking ideas from everyone, trying to mix.
The game that readily came to my mind when playing it, and I mentioned it in the first impressions demo, is it reminded me a lot of Monster Sanctuary at all. Now I'm not sure if that was one of those games as well, but even with the skill trees that each individual monster can have, which is brilliant, by the way. That game is phenomenal for that reason alone. But it really gave me vibes of a spiritual successor to that.
Yeah. I would say that the Monster Sanctuary probably my favorite Monster Tamer game. It was Nocturne for a long time, Shin Megami Tensei 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Monster Sanctuary is just really good. I think my top three is Monster Sanctuary, then Nocturne, then Cassette Beats.
That's actually really funny
and
because I just
and
beat Shimigami Nocturne for the first time as a
yeah,
Let's Play on the channel, and I'm playing Cassette Beasts right now on stream. Monster
I'll
Sanctuary,
check
I
those out.
played day one when it came out, way before I even started a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I played it even on the early access because, like, first from the concept, I like, oh, this is just so cool.
Yeah, and I played it multiple times, and I actually didn't realize that they actually went back and they added a bunch of different like game modes you can play. I was like, oh, that shit was really cool. But I digress.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just a little funny that the games you mentioned were games where I'm like, hey,
Yeah,
I'm currently playing or I just played those games, so I can definitely see a lot of the
yeah,
inspiration there, especially with
and
Oh, go ahead.
so like at the start, the game didn't even like Unlich didn't even have the monsters following you or having abilities because when I started working, I was like, okay, I'm a bit of a noob in this game development thing. It's probably too hard for me. And then I tried to do it like make a cat skill, and just having it that makes the games like having those abilities outside of combat just helps the pace of the game so much that it's like, okay, no, I have to go all in on this. It's such a like great idea of any most gaming game.
Yeah, I mean it's very admirable. Game develing is something that I couldn't even consider trying myself, even though everyone thinks, "Oh, I can make the perfect game." But it always takes a very special individual to actually go out and do it. And yeah, and as I mentioned in the demo, the game is very early. Yes, there's going to be hiccups here and there, which is always fine, especially for that early. But I can definitely see the end goal of the game, and that's something that I'm very excited for. But just back to the questions a little bit. You said that you're brand new to game design. What was like the first major game mechanic you figured out while making Unlich?
The first thing I made, like I think the first mechanic besides moving a character on the screen is the combat system. I think I found like a YouTuber on who's like just making Pokemon Blue on Unity just as a tutorial, and started following that. And then once I had two sprites fighting each other, I added animation, and then I added the grid, and started going away from the tutorial. Just and then like after a while, when he had the full battle system with the base mechanics, the grid, the turns thing, the abilities, and the spells, I was like, okay, I'm satisfied now. I can start working on the actual game because I viewed the battle system as the core mechanic. So it's I wanted to have something that's a bit fun there before I can get to anything else.
No, that's wonderful. And now I understand that this game is pretty much your baby, and it's okay to be completely biased. But is there a specific favorite aspect that you personally love about the game? It's okay to gloat here.
Uh, okay, what I like the most is like, and it's the same, and it's why I like Monster Tamer games. Is that I like that I can play the game, like replay the game, and every time like build a different team. Like because like you play an RPG like Final Fantasy, you're gonna get the. Sometimes there's a job system, but you're gonna get the same
Yeah,
party.
the
But in
same
Monster Tamer
the
gives you all.
same people,
Yeah,
same moves, same gear in subsequent
yeah.
playthroughs. I 100% agree. One of the things that I always look for, just for me personally, when I play a game, or especially when I'm going to buy a game, is how replayable is it.
Yes.
Even games
And
like Dark Souls doesn't even have to be like necessarily a Monster Tamer game. How many times can I replay this game and have a completely different experience? To me personally,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
very important. And Monster Taming games is like perfect because you can play the game 5 different times and have a completely different theme or build the entire time. So 100%,
Yes.
I absolutely agree with you on that front.
And to keep with that, I like why I have the skill tree and the stat thing. The way you can train any different stat for any monster is because even the monster itself, I wanted to make like most monsters to have at least a couple different ways to build them. So like even you get a skeletal soldier, you can build him as a tank or a slightly supportive of tank or a bit more damage oriented, stuff like that. So I tried to make the systems modular, like the skills alone, the spells alone, so you can mix and match as a player.
Yeah, that's really cool. Again, the skill trees are going to be phenomenal. Now, you mentioned to me that you do have plans for evolution in the future.
So even some of the evolutions are already fully realized as monsters, but the thing is that I'm still like not. It's not whether I'm gonna do it; it's how I'm gonna do it. Is how the evolution mechanic itself is gonna work.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
they evolve at a certain level, a certain mechanic. I still haven't found. I have a few ideas that I'm trying right now, but I haven't. How do you say this? Like decided on something.
Yeah. Well, just me jumping in, throwing in my 2 cents. You have a skill tree. Why not make it an unlockable? You know, say you have
Yes.
one of the bunnies in the skill tree towards the very like mid or bottom of the skill tree. It's an evolution. You need like 3 points to do it. Once you get there, you can unlock it. Then your dude can evolve. You know, something like that. And that's just a way. You know.
Yeah. The way the mechanic that I have right now is, it's a bit weird. Like, but so to give you an example, like I'm gonna go back again for the skeletal soldier because a lot of the undead are like further in the development than other monsters. So the skeletal soldier can evolve into, the big guy you see at the start, the big. It's a bigger, stronger version of himself.
Cool.
Or he can evolve into a death knight or into a priest, weird priest thing.
Ooh.
And basically, while the first evolution has similar skill tree, just with better skills, the other two have different ones and can be evolved into from other monsters. And you inherit whatever skills you bring from the other old skill tree. So whether you go for the skeletal soldier or the skeletal wizard and you evolve into the priest, it's going to be like you can bring different skills, like either more defensive warrior based skills or more magic ones. I'm still not completely decided on this, but I like the aspect of split evolution,
Yes,
but you can't do it for every monster.
No.
Sometimes it doesn't make sense.
I do think having options within options is always going to be a good thing, Just me personally, like if I really like a Monster Tamer game, like any Pokemon game or something like most kind of Digimon games, I will probably play them additional time, and I always want to be like, ooh, what does this guy turn into? Stuff like that. Especially on a first playthrough. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm playing Cassette Beasts right now, and that's a fairly common where before it evolves, it gives you an option, and you don't get to see the result of it, but you have the option. Yeah. And I like that, even if it's not necessarily the evolution you want, which, suck it up, right? To an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that mystery that has gratifying, like immediate satisfaction. I like that a lot. Just like, what does this go into? Oh, it goes into this awesome thing. I understand it's easy to procrastinate, but at the same time, options are just better.
Yes.
It does mean a lot more work in the end, to have 2 different evolutions when you can just have the one, or like different forms or whatever. But at the same time, though, take your time. Don't fry your brain thinking over it, but do same old thing like with how I run YouTube. Make the game how you would want to play it. If you were playing this game that someone else made, how would you want it to go, right? So absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the reason why I started making the game, because I wanted to make a monster taming game that's a bit more tailored to my tastes.
Yeah,
obviously,
absolutely.
since then I've changed some stuff.
Oh, I mean,
the game used to be even harder, but when you're making the game and you know it's ins and out, you can't exactly, but it's difficult to balance because you can't put yourself in the shoes of the player who never
Yes.
even touched it yet.
Yes. There definitely is a sweet spot. And, you know, obviously, as it goes on, you can select difficulties, you know? You can be like you can be like the intended way, you know, where the description is this is how hard the game was supposed to be when I first created it, and then make it really, really hard, you know, something like that. But that could be like way down the line, right?
Yeah, exactly. To add just something to the mystery feeling you initially when I first made the game, there were 3 starters: the cat and the bear and an insect one, and you had like the options to pick of the 3.
Yeah, which I also really like as well.
Yeah, and it's like probably the decision I kept debating the most, whether to leave it like that or do the whole quiz. In the end, I ended up on the quiz. It just feels a bit more fun.
It is because like when you play a Pokemon game, you know you're going to be biased towards the one you want. Obviously,
yes, I always pick Bulbasaur, for example.
Exactly, right. And if you always pick Bulbasaur, then imagine like it's your first playthrough. You pick Bulbasaur because it looks cool, but you know you don't really know because of the way how it goes what Squirtle's going to look like within that game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you never know. Maybe Blastoise could be your favorite Pokemon ever, but Bulbasaur just has the better first form. You know, things like that. Like you're always gonna be biased towards the first stage you inherently really like. But
yes.
For example, when I played, I was like, I got the cat ghost in my first run, and I'm like, okay, what else do we got here? Not that I'm saying I don't like the cat ghost. I just wanted to know what was else, and I got the bear, the Druid bear, and I'm like, oh, I like this a lot more. So I do like that.
And there are, and the inspiration for that was primarily from
Mystery Dungeon?
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And the first thing I realized was like 3 monsters are not enough for a quiz. So I started adding starters. Right now I'm at 7, and I think I'm gonna stop at 10 because the quiz tracks. Yeah, the quiz tracks for 4 types of responses, like for stats, as you could say.
That's crazy.
And depending on if you have 1 stat that's really high or 2 stats that's really high, it picks 1. And out of 4, you can have like 10 options. The hardest thing is like starters need to be special. So like
I agree with that. Yes.
So you can't just make, okay, I made a new monster, I'm gonna make him a stat. It needs to be something that's like very a bit like
something you want to have throughout the entire journey of the game, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I 100% agree with that. There's always going to be something magical with the starter, and not every game does that, and it doesn't mean that it's a good or bad thing, but I do prefer it if I had the option, you know. Yeah, but absolutely.
Obviously there like one sorry if I'm talking too much.
No, don't. This is I'm interviewing you. Please, by all means.
Yes. Thank you. One thing that I'm a bit struggling with is like I started learning pixel art for this game. So the art that I was making when I started working, and already the cat, for example, got completely redrawn. There are like 2 or 3 bosses that the first version looks awful compared to the game now, so it got completely redrawn. But even right now, sometimes when I make a new monster and I put them next to an older one, I'm like, that old animation is a bit rotten. I need, then you can try to fix it, and then you try to improve the other, because if you're working on everything, you're naturally going to get better at everything. Sometimes the old parts are not up to standards.
I would recommend keeping those.
Yes.
Just personally. Now, again, this is just me, but just my brain. People like to see like the very early, like the chicken scratch of development. I would just keep those in a folder. Like don't scrap them or anything.
Yeah, they're still there, by the way.
Oh yeah, cool.
The only one that didn't make it is one that was so bad it didn't even make it to Unity. that's the the only one that didn't make it. The other ones I didn't delete the file, just made new ones.
All right. Okay,
Because
so
I see it. Okay.
I was asked to tell you this. Let me just say I don't know anything about coding. I don't. What is your favorite coding program?
Program so I'm building the game on Unity, which naturally uses C#, and Unity integrates well with Visual Studio, so I'm working with that. That being said, in my job, sometimes I use Visual Code or Yum because for example, if I'm working on a Linux machine, I don't have easy access to Visual Studio, so I use whatever there. But mainly, I think C# and Visual Studio, like compared to a lot of the languages I use elsewhere, are like a lot more comfortable to use. But then again, I'm using them to make something I like to make, which is my game, while the other ones I use in my job. So I inherently will have less fun.
Okay. So far in development, what has been the most difficult thing to overcome? Like development-wise, art-wise, story-wise?
So the hardest. Okay, so let me think a bit.
Sure.
I think the biggest bottleneck in terms of development is art. Just takes a long time to make. Even when as I get better to it, for example, especially the parts I don't like to do. For example, I like drawing monsters, but I don't like drawing people. But I'm at the point of the game where I need to populate the main city, so I'm forcing myself every week. I need to draw a person, because if I don't force myself, I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, I
But
understand.
in terms of just being difficult, I will say shaders. Shaders are because it's something that I didn't know before, so it's something I learned. And in terms of being annoying, I'll say UI. I hate working on UI, whether it is web development when I was a student or game. This is just not my cup of tea at all.
All right, I get it. Do you? Is there any other game developer that you highly admire?
So there are a few, but I think the one that I admire the most probably Yasumi Matsuno. He's a Japanese developer who worked on most famously he works on Tactics Ogre and Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy 12 and Vagrant Story. And especially Tactics Ogre are, like, I say this confidently, I'm not sure about the second spot or third spot, but my favorite game ever is always going to be Tactics. That game just it was like made for me, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Initially, I wanted to make a tactics game, but I figured like a tactics monster tamer, like Final Fantasy. But I figured it's better to keep the scope down for smaller monsters in my first game.
Monster.
And then if this succeeds, and in the future maybe I can make something.
You might like a game series called Disgaea then.
Yeah, I played it before. Yeah. I think I played one on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe I'll check if they're on Steam. Maybe I'll get into the series again.
Yeah, because it's very much a Monster Tamer tactics, game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll add it to the list.
Yeah.
It's getting the one issue with being a game, it's fun,
time consuming.
Especially doing it. Yes, and doing it with a full-time job leaves little time for gaming. I played, for example, Cassette Beasts when it came out, but usually I'm playing 1 or 2 big games per year since I started on this one, because otherwise I don't have the time to work on.
How long have you been developing Unlich as of now?
So I started learning Unity and pixel art around 2020. Like you know the whole COVID and thing, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone locked at the home and nothing to do. And the project for Unlich, I think by next March, April, I'll have 3 years for the project that is Unlich. So I think since 2022, since 2023, something like that.
Very, very admirable. Here's to another 3 years.
Yes.
Um,
But it's still certainly not getting finished in less than 2 years. It's still like not even cleaning the rough edges. That's the content I haven't got there yet. It's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Well, I'll be there with every step of the way, encouraging you. Trust me. When
Thank you.
when you legitimately started to develop Unlich, did you have was it just like the concept that you had first, like the combat with the mechanics, or was it the story that came first, the world?
So the first thing that I just wanted a monster taming game with party based. And then when I started making the project, I was like doing, the fun thing. Okay, what type of monsters I'm gonna make in a Pokemon game? I'm gonna make dragons and beasts and whatever. And while making those concepts and drawing some monsters, I drew the undead and the accursed, a monster that is skeletal soldier and the accursed. And I like the way the undead represent law and order, and the accursed is just chaotic. And from there, the whole story of the game just inverts. Like that's like the dichotomy that brought me. That's when the light bulb went up. That's like, okay, now I have the gameplay and I have the story that I want to tell, and I'm just gonna build on that.
Nice. Okay. Because yeah, that's whenever I talk to someone who is like doing a D&D campaign or starting a game or even writing a story, I always am fascinated to know if they have the characters planned or the plot planned. And so
Yes, it's one thing that's like, for example, when the story changed a lot as I'm developing, and it's been a bit eye-opening about how writers work. Because sometimes I'm like, I get to a scene and I hit a complete writer block. I know what's gonna happen in the scene and I can't write it down. And it's usually because the whole situation is forced or bad, And it's not until I change it and think of something that makes more sense that just clicks. So I have like the large routes of the story. It's gonna be go from point A to B to C to D. But what's between, I'm making as I go. Maybe it's not like the most professional way, but I don't have much experience as a writer at all. So
yeah, absolutely. Don't.
They can do.
Yeah. Is there and if you can't answer this, that's completely fine. Is there a specific mechanic that you want to implement, but you just don't know how, or you think that in the end it doesn't fit the game that well?
Let me think. Honestly, initially, it's not that even it didn't fit the game. Monster abilities, like outside of combat, I had this fear of them, like they're gonna be very hard to balance, especially flight. Flight, like it's you need to put a lot of limitations on it, or it breaks the level design completely. So, but that got out of the way, thankfully. So let me think. I think multiplayer was the same as well, but I got it working, not online yet, but the online part is surprisingly simpler. Like once the combat system is adapted to work with local multiplayer, you can just link online to get work. So I think at this point there isn't a mechanic. I'm sure something will pop up eventually, but I'm trying to close the door. Like the few mechanics that I'm still planning to update, I'm gonna update. I'm not gonna add anything else because otherwise you get into this scope creep situation where you keep adding things and never progressing the actual content of the game.
All right, interesting. And last question I have today: if you were to go back in time and talk to yourself before you started this, what would be the one piece of advice you would tell yourself to make things easier?
Write clean code. Last year, I've cleaned so much code. Because at the start, you're trying to just to make things work, and you just write the easiest, hackiest code you can write, and just to make everything work. And then you don't realize that as you build things over it, that the rotten base is gonna annoy you so much. To give you a proper example, the whole thing about the movement feeling sticky, that's because that's the oldest code probably written in the whole project. So I was just trying to make things something move. And then I come back after watching your video, and some of my testers on the Discord also like come on man, it's been a year, like fix the movement. And just sit down. It was like an hour's work to just fix that and make the movement feel a lot better.
All
But
right.
if I didn't do it properly from the start, you don't have to keep fixing stuff, because there is this concept in development known as technical debt. It's when you write bad stuff and hacky things and don't fix bugs, and then you say I'm gonna fix it again. But after a year, you forgot the details of your code, and fixing it becomes 10 times hard. So if you can do it clean from the start, just do it clean. Don't be lazy, even if it makes you slightly slow.
All right. Well, that's very nice. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Yep. I played the game. It's obviously I encountered a bug or two. Completely fine. I didn't get to the end of the demo, and for that I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I can.
I need to balance some stuff. Let's just say that I need to get back to the balance sheet a bit about the boss fight.
Yeah. I could have I could have killed that motherfucker. I would have beaten it. Trust me.
Yeah, I hope that bug is fixed, because I think it's fixed, but it's
Hello,
one of
people.
the weirdest bugs.
Another episode of-
Like to the point where I'm not like fully sure. Like I still need to test it more.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's
Yeah.
fixed.
I can definitely see the end game of the game. I can see 1,000 different ways in which the final product will be shown, and every single one of them excites me to no end. I am
Thank you.
very eager to see any updates. Probably not on stream, but probably on myself. I'll be poking in every update, give it a solid shot again, see how it feels. If it feels better than the last, hell if it doesn't, or great if it does. If it doesn't, I'll definitely reach out with some of my own notes if you still want those.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
So one of like a new year resolution, I'm trying to like make a small update to the demo every month. These updates are gonna like it's an update to the demo, and if there is nothing major to add besides bug fixes, I'm probably gonna have just write a slide devlog about something I'm working on that's not in the demo. That's further. And whether in the comments of for itch.io or on Discord, like any feedback is always welcome. Like the game, like if you've seen it a couple years ago before I had even like my friends and family, right? It's like feedback like makes it doesn't matter if you have your vision for your game or whatever. Just having other eyes look at it and test it will make it always better. Just responding to feedback.
Oh, I 100% agree. Yeah. But anyway, thank you very much for your time. A little bit of just some general questions. I just wanted to have a small little conversation with you. Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Is there anything that you feel like I should have asked, or anything you want to say before we call it?
I think you did a perfect job. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
If anyone watching this is curious about the game, it's on It's.io would
Yes, there will be.
very thankful if you could try it.
I will definitely link it to the description below, to the
Thank
main
you.
site. Absolutely. Be sure to give him, a couple dollars for your time. It's the least you could do. I certainly did. I hope everyone else does too. And I really, I'm very excited to see the end product of the game. I know that's still a while away, but hell, next month I'm excited to see the next update of the game. Even then, right?
Thank you. And I'm gonna try to keep working on it. I'm employing no 0-day policy except on vacations, obviously, and holidays. And hopefully it will be finished someday.
Yeah, that's the most admirable goal of them all. But anyway, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you had a wonderful time. Till next time we meet, same thing with you. I hope you all have a fucking day. Peace.